US Marshals say a dangerous fugitive from Virginia might be posing as a tattoo artist here in the Valley. 36-year-old Theodore Lee is wanted for violating his federal probation. He was previously convicted of narcotics and gun crimes. Marshals say he has ties to Henderson, so he might be somewhere in the area. He may be driving a 1999 white Toyota Camry or 2014 white Audi Coupe. They say he also has gang ties and a violent criminal history. As a result, he should be considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach him. Call police.